And welcome to another episode of Postpartum Connections. And I'm your girl, Tashia. And yes, we have the co-host back, Miss Ashley. Isn't she looking fabulous? Welcome back.
Thank you.
Awesome. And we do have a little special guest in the house, so forgive us in advance if she has to mommy. And then we are joined with two special people again on this episode. I have Miss Jasmine Joseph and Miss Carrie Campbell. And today on episode 10, we are going to be talking about intimate partner violence and during the postpartum period. Okay? So, like I said, I have Miss Jasmine Joseph here. She is a wife, a mother, entrepreneur, a community leader with a heart for serving others and honoring God in all that she does. She is the co-owner of G Bunge, yes, a natural juice business focused on health, wellness, and building a legacy for her family. As well as she is the She Too Jazzy, an online women's boutique inspired by confidence and modest fashion. Oh, I love that.
Thank you.
Yes. In addition to all her entrepreneurship, she proudly serves the community as a youth and family program coordinator at the Heart Community Resource Center. She's passionate about empowering youth, strengthening families, and creating meaningful programs that make an impact. Above all, she's a woman of faith. Christ is the center of her life, and without the Lord, she says she is nothing. That is her foundation, her strength, her rock, and everything that she does is rooted in purpose, service, love, and giving God the glory. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here with us.
You're welcome.
And Miss Carrie Campbell, thank you.
Of course.
She is a community leader, researcher, visual artist, and advocate dedicated to advancing equality, equity, healing, and an opportunity for marginalized communities. With over 7 years of experience in community development, social services, and practicatory research, her work focuses on youth empowerment, gender-based violence, restorative justice, and support for single-parent families. She has led and contributed to multiple research projects centered around gender-based violence and community healing. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
She holds multiple diplomas in visual arts, honors bachelor degree in social and community development, and she currently serves as a manager at the Heart Community Resource Center in Lauderdale Lakes, where she leads the community programming and outreaches initiatives serving residents all across Broward County. Awesome. Thank you so much, ladies, for the work that you
Thanks
do.
for having us.
Yes, and being here. So, kind of taking a turn just a little bit, and just really, if we felt the need that we should have this conversation, because we don't know who's out there struggling in silence.
Yeah.
And just wanted to take this time for you guys to just share your stories, right? So, Carrie, would you give us the honor to just share a little bit about your background and what happened to you, and what do you wanted to share with our guests today?
Absolutely. So, I am a mother of 4 children, and as you've stated, like a lot of my work internationally, from here to Ontario, Canada, has really been centered around the experience, not just of single moms, but those who have survived gender-based violence, intimate partner violence, family violence, and just that umbrella, right?
Right.
And the reason for that is because I understand the benefit that comes from having a community, even if that means you need to build it yourself. So when I say community, I don't just mean like regionally, like, I mean people who are sharing similar experiences and similar background, because that has really catalyzed my growth from someone who experienced postpartum intimate partner violence, right? Someone who has been that person that has had to consider leaving over and over and over before actually being able to do so, right?
Wow.
And it's when it's compounded with having children with your abuser, it becomes that much more difficult to get up and to leave.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
So your work came out of your experience.
100%.
In that sense.
It guided me from my 2 art degrees to the 2 in social and community development. I said, you know what? I feel like I need to switch back.
Spectrums.
Yeah,
Right.
So 100%.
Absolutely. So Jasmine.
Yes.
We talked about abuse, right? So we know that there's different types of abuse. Can you share the different types of abuse, and then can you share what you experienced?
Yes. So yes, there's physical abuse,
Right.
verbal abuse, emotional abuse,
Okay.
mental abuse. So for me, I experienced all of them: physical, verbal, mental, emotional.
Wow.
Yeah, at such a young age too.
In the same relationship?
In the same relationship.
Okay.
Like all in one. Yeah, I was 17 when I met him.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I up until 23. I'm up until 21, like 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah, 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind us asking, like, so when did it start? Like, how long were you guys? You said the relationship lasted 5 years.
Yes.
When did it start?
So let's see. I would say I got with him maybe like 6 months into getting with him, like 6 months to 7. Yeah, because at first everything was good.
Right.
You know, I'm like, okay. And then for me, I was more on the shy side with boys. I was like, So with him, I opened up, more.
Okay.
And so experienced, everything with him. And so about 6 months, he started to show the different side.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and then that lasted for like 4 years.
Wow.
The physical, emotional, mental abuse. So as a teenager to, the young adult, like 21, I experienced that with him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was your first relationship,
Like my real relationship that I took.
That was like your introduction to relationships.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because before him, I was like, I'm not taking, I'm focused on me. I'm not taking nobody serious.
Right.
Yeah.
And then that'd be your first experience.
Yes.
That's rough.
Yeah.
It is rough.
Yeah.
Carrie, so what type of abuse did you incur in your relationship?
So, interestingly enough, pretty much all of the same ones. My 4 children are a product of that relationship.
All 4 of them?
All 4
Same.
of them.
Okay.
Same relationship.
Wow.
And so, in addition to those, some of the others that strike me are, in addition to the ones Jasmine mentioned, are social isolation.
Okay.
Because that's a huge form of abuse, right? When your
Right.
partner wants to control every aspect of your life,
Right.
they will actively
Yeah.
find ways to isolate you from your family,
Yes.
from friends, from school, right? Or from any way that you can achieve a better quality of life that doesn't come from their hand. So that is something that I find is often an experience that, women, especially those of us that are, you consider yourself locked into this relationship because you're now producing children with this person. And another form of abuse that I think I've experienced has been financial abuse.
Wow.
Right? Because financial abuse is another form of abuse.
Yeah.
When you are contributing money to a relationship that is not getting you anywhere, and you're not allowed in that relationship to have a safety net that you build for yourself, right? That's another way that manipulation and isolation also
So in
affect your
that
money.
financial aspect though, so you were contributing and weren't allowed to use, or you weren't contributing and it was being controlled as if, well, I'm the one that's making the money, so you're limited to this type of lifestyle.
So I've seen it happen in both ways.
Okay.
Where you are not contributing, so you're not able to make any of the decisions,
Exactly.
though you are responsible for the upkeep of the family.
Right.
But I have definitely been in situations where, with the same partner, where I have been forced to contribute, but still had no say, over what is spent, even of what I ate. Right?
Wow.
Yeah. Like I was told what to have for dinner, what we could afford, regardless of the amount of money that I put in to the union or to the household, right? So a lot of also, I would say, like when Jazz mentions like mental abuse, right? There is, I would say, a lot of women who are in situations like I have been in have very, very interesting and devastating stories of ways that they were broken, right? So like I've experienced being locked in a bedroom for 36 hours and not allowed to come out. Right? So imagine the mental toll that takes on people. And that is compounded with the financial abuse or with the physical abuse and with the fear that is placed in someone. Because how do you get someone to stay inside of a bedroom without instilling fear in them?
That is true.
Right?
That's very true.
And what does that do to your children who are outside of that bedroom?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you too, just the same way that I asked Jasmine, like how long were you guys together? And then when did it start?
So, interestingly, this wasn't my first abusive relationship, but they were back to back.
Oh.
So it was very interesting that these were my only 2 relationships where I'd experienced abuse, but they were back to back, right? Yeah. I definitely need to explore that more, and I have over the years.
Yeah.
But this relationship began when I was in my early 20s. So I met him at 21, and right off the bat, I knew that this person was a little bit of a control freak, and I was pregnant within a few months of knowing them. And I think there was again, a lot of my work is in gender-based violence. So another term that folks are not often familiar with is reproductive coercion.
Right.
Right. And so a lot of times you're told, well, you know, like, if you don't have the baby, you're gonna go to hell, or you know, this is what God wants, or this is what I want, and this is what you should do. And your family doesn't care either way, or no one loves you. I'm the only one that loves you, so we should have this baby and the other baby and the next baby. And mind you, I am so grateful for my children because, as I shared before we started, they are my source of strength. But was I afraid that my partner and God and people would look at me differently if I chose not to have them? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it didn't matter that I was fearful because I knew that my relationship was abusive.
Yeah.
I still chose.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I found the strength to say, you know what? The kids and I are out of here.
Yeah.
That was when I was able to rely on them for my strength, and they were able to rely on me as the sole parent to provide them their strength. So
and they were able to maneuver with you in that space and say, yeah, no, this is enough. We're going
1,000%. We spent 11 months out of 12 in 2015 living in 2 different shelters when I left my partner. So just to answer your question, it started in my early 20s. I was 21.
Right.
And that relationship lasted 8 years until I was 29.
8 years.
Yeah. And I had four children in a 5-year time span. So from 2008 to 2013, all 4 of my children were born.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So they're back to back.
Yeah.
So do you see well, before I start, did you have any children in that relationship, Jasmine?
No, I didn't. No.
You didn't? Okay. No. How did you, was that by choice or it just didn't?
Yeah, it just didn't. It just didn't. Yeah.
It just didn't happen. So do you feel like during your pregnancies, when you look at your children as they are growing, that during that time, definitely number 1 affected your pregnancy, and then number 2 affected the way that you recovered during each postpartum journey?
100%. Like, we don't have enough time for me to tell you all of the ways that my recovery was affected, and not only just mine, right? My children, yes, things were harder because there was a lot of, I would have a baby and then suddenly my partner would withdraw, even while I was pregnant, right? There was I suffered a lot of abuse while I was pregnant with them.
Wow.
Right? Both physical, mental, emotional. My pregnancies were quite tumultuous. And then after giving birth to them, there was just more what felt like chaos after giving birth. And when I say not only my recovery, I mean my parents. I remember my mother bawling over things that had happened to me after I'd given birth to some of my children.
Wow.
Like confiding in my mother, and I just remember her hopelessness, you know?
Yeah.
And so yeah, it definitely
So you
affects
you still had family like around during this time.
Yeah, so my partner, my ex-partner, my children's father, was from Canada. And after our first 2 children were born down here, I had moved with him to Canada.
Okay.
And so it's very interesting that I had doulas with my second 2 children
Oh, nice.
in Canada.
Nice.
And then I still had chosen to come back down to Florida, though, to give birth. And the reason for that was because of my fear that if my children weren't citizens of the same country as me, I would end up in some sort of like battle in the event that I ever needed to return to Canada. He guilted me the entire time. Guilted me the entire time that I went home. But if, you know, when you think about it, there was always the opportunity to sponsor me. There was always opportunity to make me a Canadian citizen too.
Yeah.
He chose not to do that, right? Because it allowed him to control finances. It allowed him to control tax benefits that you get in Canada. So when I realized that this was what was happening, I had decided with my last 2 children that even though I had a doula, I was going home to give birth.
Gotcha.
And it was interesting because I still ended up in a 5.5-year custody battle for my kids when I tried to leave my partner.
Wow.
Still. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. When
5.5 years?
5.5 years. When he found out that I was leaving in 2015, I was 29 at the time, 2015.
Right.
He found out that I was leaving and went to like the court system and said that I was trying to kidnap my own
Your own
kids.
kids.
5.5 years later, in late 2020,
Wow.
I ended up with sole custody of my
Wow.
children. But it was a fight.
I believe it. I believe it.
It was a fight. It was a huge battle.
I'm listening to you, and I'm like, when you were maneuvering through the system, right? You had a doula. You gave birth. I'm assuming you gave birth in the hospital.
I did.
Well, all 4 of them.
I did.
You went to your prenatal appointments. Like, at any point in time, did you feel the need to either say something? Did any of the providers say anything to you?
You know, there's like
Was
a cup
there-
in the bathroom, like if you're being abused.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The OB office.
Yeah.
Well,
Or like the sign on the back of the bathroom door or something. Like, there's something that you could say, like, hey, if something is happening. What? Did anything?
so my OB appointments for my first 2 children, who are now almost 18 and 17. I don't remember that being an option at the time. Right, I'll just start there.
Yes.
But that was in Florida, right?
Yeah.
Those doctor appointments were here, right here in Broward. My children were born at Broward General.
Okay.
But it's funny that in Canada with my doula, she was a protective woman, and I think a form of protection sometimes is silence. And we think to ourselves sometimes that silence is violence, right?
Yeah.
And that when we don't speak about it, we are not advocating for someone. But in the context of intimate partner violence, often when you speak up about something and then you have to leave that woman in that home with that man, you are potentially putting her in harm's way. And so this story is funny because later on in Canada, going through this huge custody battle, there was a time when the Canadian government, so we have the IRS in the US.
Okay.
Canada has the CRA. Right?
Okay.
So the CRA reached out to me at one time and was like, we didn't know that you were here in the country. We had received documentation that you had moved back to the US and abandoned your children, basically.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh, did you now? So
Okay.
there was a representative who she and I had started off an email and like regular mail, and we eventually spoke on the phone, and she was like, I found it weird because why would you have had these kids back to back? But then I'm receiving a letter after each child that you're abandoning a baby. So how do you come back and have another baby and then abandon that baby? And I was like, yes, okay, good. So at least I'm working with someone who is sensible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll never forget her. It was really interesting. But she said to me, the Canadian government owes you money. And if you can prove to me that you were in this country then you will receive money and he would essentially owe.
Okay.
Because apparently he had been receiving all this money for all these years as the sole provider of my children, and apparently I had abandoned them, right? When I had never left my kids, like ever. Not even for a vacation.
Sorry, guys.
She's like, what are you guys talking about? This sounds serious. So long story short, one of the proofs that I had to, you know, with the government, you got to provide a certain amount of documentation to prove a point.
Right.
And I reached out to my doula, and it was so interesting that I asked her to prove for me my doctor's appointment, well, my doula appointments, because that would have placed me in Ontario during these years.
Yes.
And do you know, when I read her letter, I remember my eyes welling up with tears. Her name was Laura. And I will never forget her, because in the final paragraph, right before her ending of the letter that she had sent, she states that she had suspected that I was a victim of domestic violence.
Wow.
And it was always weird to her, basically, that I would go home with the final, like my last two kids, she was my doula for them. She stated that it was odd to her that I decided to go home to give birth both times. But she had always sensed that I was being abused, and she attributed that to the reason why I chose to give birth in my home country.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's like, even though she had never said anything to me while we were doing my appointments, she had always known. And she was always prepared to defend me if need be. Because that letter also came up in court.
Wow.
And though it was a 5.5-year fight, I ended up with sole custody of those kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's definitely a blessing. Shout out to all the doulas out there.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. You guys have no idea.
Absolutely.
That you are never forgotten.
A question.
Yeah.
Have you found forgiveness with your abusers?
So,
That's a good one.
yeah, that is a good one. Because I'll be honest, I think forgiveness is it's a complex term, right? Like, I have moved on, right? It's been more than 10 years. And I think the interesting thing is I pity my abuser in some ways. I pity him because he did nothing with his life, and I got 4 degrees after we separated, right?
Yeah.
And it's just interesting. And I did this all in a country where I was an immigrant struggling to get permanent residence, and he was born there.
Right.
Right? And so it's almost like I can see him with the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. But can I say that, to say that I forgive, it's almost like, what does forgiveness look like? Does forgiveness mean that I'm not upset at him about it anymore? Because if that's what it looks like, then yes.
Okay.
But if forgiveness means I interact with him and co-parent with him, then the answer is no. Right? To be honest, so it really depends on what.
Is he involved with the kids? Or?
No, and that's actually not
by
my
choice.
choice. It's his choice.
Okay.
Yeah, because as I mentioned, my oldest child is almost 18 and my youngest is 13. Everyone's got their own phone. Everyone's got their own social media. Dad has everyone's phone number. He has access that no longer has to go through me.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely. Because they're at an age where they can speak and do for like
1,000%.
for
I don't
themselves,
have the capacity to remember those phone codes. There's 4 of them.
Yeah.
Right? I don't talk to whoever you want as long as it's safe. But so that's the thing, right? Even after I got sole custody, he didn't speak to the kids for 6 months.
Okay.
Of his own accord. So it's, I guess, it just depends on what constitutes forgiveness.
I mean,
right?
I like how you framed it.
Yeah.
How would you frame your forgiveness, or how does that look for you, Jasmine?
Yeah, going back to spirituality for me. So I would say I forgave him fully maybe like 2 years ago, and it's been since 2015 that I left. But when I met my husband and I had my son, I realized that God gave me 2 men to love me. So all that I went through, I came on the top win, and I felt so loved. And But at first I didn't forgive. You know, I even told God, like, if you have this, if you love me, why do you have this guy putting his hands on me? And then at that point, that was a straw for me because I was tired. But I finally forgave him. I can even talk in peace now. I haven't seen him since 2015, but if I was to see him, I can see him without anger. But that took a long time.
Right.
That's 2015. We're in 2026, so I would say like 2 years ago, fully forgave.
Yeah.
Because it's traumatic. Sometimes you could ride by somewhere and it reminds you of what happened.
Wow.
At that particular area, because I'm from Miami, so if I go down by my mom's house, a lot of things happen by my mom's house, and sometimes I'm like, wow, like I remember me being here, just emotionally. You're a teenager. I was a teenager, 17. I'm,
That's trauma.
it is 11th grade to 21. It's like 23. It's like
Wow.
So I did forgive him finally. Yeah.
So did you feel like you had anybody when you got to that last straw, or even before that, right? Did you feel like you had anybody that you could reach out to, that you could turn to?
Yes, I just it's like a fear comes and it's like it suffocates you, and shame comes and suffocate you. Like,
Really?
I didn't want to speak out because I was embarrassed, like, and so I just kept it to myself. But we had incidents in school and people saw it, and they're just like, at that age, people think that's like, they don't look at it as like toxic. They look at it like, oh, he loved her, and that's just them fighting. It's okay. They just brush it off. In my generation at that time,
Right.
because I wasn't the only one that's going through that, but but some people seen it as, no, that's abuse.
Yeah.
What he's doing. I even had one guy like spoke up for me. Like, he's like you're not gonna do it this time. And he literally jumped in his face, and I'm like, oh, what's going on? But it was at school, and but I had a lot of people.
He was that bold?
Yeah, in some instances, yes, absolutely. But I had a lot of people that I could have told. Yeah, I just didn't say anything.
You just didn't say anything.
Yeah, because I know my family would have. Yeah, someone would have went to jail, and it's like, I'm not doing that. Yeah.
So for you, in that instance, it was like, okay, so I have the support. I know I have the support, but I can't jeopardize the support.
Right, and also still protecting him in a way as well. Like, now that I think about it.
Okay.
Yeah, because I kind of like protected him in a way as well.
Okay.
And
By not speaking up.
Yeah, but his mother went through that with his father.
Oh,
so he's seen that.
A learned
Exactly.
behavior. Wow.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So did you feel like, Carrie, you had support? Like, I know you came home to have your babies, your last two babies, and then you moved, before that you had moved to Canada after having your first two children. But did you feel like you had somebody that you could talk to and you chose not to, or what was your thought process with that community and your support?
So the funny thing about it is, if there's anybody that I learned true forgiveness through this process, right? Because like I said before, with my ex, it's more about, I moved on and it doesn't bother me the same way, right? It was my mother. Like, that is who I learned to forgive. And I also learned to forgive myself, because my relationship with my mom was a little bit, it was, I don't want to use the word toxic, but it wasn't the most loving and sweetest relationship or connection, right? It wasn't always, and it's still challenging to this day.
Right.
I was a little closer with my father, but my mother and my father, they're one, right? They're a union.
Right.
So it's really difficult. It's possible, but it's still difficult to navigate a relationship where you're very close with one and not with the other, right?
Gotcha.
So that can kind of split things, right?
Yeah.
And so, growing up, I did feel almost like I was misunderstood by my parents, being a first-generation American.
Okay.
With parents who are culturally completely different from where I grew up, which is in Jamaica, Queens, New York.
Yeah.
Parents who didn't navigate the high school system, even in their own country, much less here as well, right?
Yeah.
Parents who were also significantly older than the average parent where I was from.
Wow.
Like, my dad now is 83.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And so they were, I'm almost 40. So my parents were on the older side.
Yeah.
They were also a lot different culturally. And so
are you the only, or do you have
those are
siblings?
things. No, I have siblings. I have plenty of siblings, actually. So my
Okay.
mother had 3 children when she met my father, who had already had 5 from 2 different marriages, and then my little sister and I are 9 and 10.
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
So, right.
What a
yes.
what a blended family.
Right. And we're the only ones born in America. Right. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So there was also
Okay,
that navigating being the first
yeah.
American,
yeah.
and it's just very interesting, you know, like culturally, and just the dynamic is different. You're doing one thing in school and in the streets and out around and about the community, but at home things are different. Things are much more what's the word I'm looking for? Your parents look at it as though, I took you here. This is the land of opportunity. Handle it.
Got it.
Do what you got to do. Climb that ladder.
Yeah.
Really? What ladder? Because
Yeah.
you don't understand the system any more than I do. So
Well,
I'll do my best.
Figure it out.
Right.
Figure it out. But
Right.
be successful in the process.
Right.
Figure it out and be successful in the process.
And I have to admit, I resented that. I resented that I felt that I wasn't given that listening ear growing up. And I wasn't given what I try to give my daughter, which is a quiet space and just holding space, right? And doing my best to identify with what she is as a teenage girl. I always felt that there were expectations set for me that sort of wanted me to deny the fact that I was a teenage girl. It was more like, you're responsible to do this and, you know, provide for the family and amass this certain amount of success, and with you need to make something from nothing, basically. Right?
Gotcha.
And I resented my family for that, and I felt that you guys have never really helped me navigate relationship issues or help me understand what a relationship should look like.
Yeah.
And, you know, my parents, I don't want to put their business out there, but they weren't all, you know what I mean? It wasn't
I feel that.
Yeah.
right. You guys were not
And
exactly
now as a
the
parent yourself, it's like you have to be the parent that you never had.
yeah, right.
So
100%. So there we go with, did I feel like I had anyone? It wasn't until there were 2 points in my life where I felt validated, which was that what I spoke with you about my mother.
Yeah.
And I could feel it in her crying, that it wasn't just empathy.
Yeah.
It was regret.
Because she's like, this is my daughter, and this is what was really happening to
Yeah.
my child.
And it's almost like, right, like what could I have done
Yeah.
to have helped her prevent this? And
Yeah.
I know now, as a mother of someone who's almost 18, that this is the way we look at things. And I felt it. And then I had to forgive her, because my mother also wasn't granted the education that I had, right? She didn't have the same supports that I had. And so I had to forgive her. And then at that point, she became a listening ear, and she became my comfort. But I was in Canada already. I was already being isolated, right?
Got it.
Geographically.
Right.
And so, yeah, I think that is a big part of what landed me to that point, because even when I was on my way up to Canada, I felt like, well, you know, you guys and I don't have the best relationship, so that doesn't mean I can't mend this one with my partner, right? Like it all, yeah.
Because that's what I was gonna ask too. You know, there are some people that, or some women out there that experience that whole shift in isolation, right? And it sounds like you didn't even have someone to say, well, wait a minute, no, I'm not talking to you. Where, why, what?
Yeah.
Like, you know? And so it's almost like being able to have that opportunity to be taken advantage of, or to be isolated, really looking at the you know, your surroundings, and to just being able to say, well, wow, ouch, you know, how does this work? You know,
100%. You're just more vulnerable to
more
it
vulnerable
without
Gotcha.
that community,
right?
Without, whether it's a family as a unit,
Yeah.
or it's the friends or the person at school,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, you know, stigma is just a huge part of why you might even have someone that'll listen to you, but as Jasmine mentioned, right, like that judgment
The
and
judgment.
stigma, it keeps you from
Wow.
even reaching out sometimes.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. Because you don't want to be looked at as, well, how can you, like, why are you there? Like, why are you doing this? And then, you know, you said something, you know, powerful, like silence sometimes is the best. You know, we don't really think about it, because then it's like when even that cup in the bathroom, right? So even if you say yes, right? What's next?
Right.
What is next? How do we maneuver? So with that, speaking about that, like Jasmine, like I know you had mentioned about the last straw, right? What was that last straw? And then what steps did you do to maneuver to walk away?
Yeah.
And then to be where you are now, married with a child, like how did you maneuver through that?
So the last straw for me, I would never forget it. He came to my mother's house and he kicked the door because I wouldn't come outside. I was like, oh, you lost your mind now. Like at that point, it's like a light bulb clicked in my head. I'm like, oh no, I deserve better than this. My mom don't even hit me. Like I was done. My mom never really hit me, I think one time.
Right.
And I was like, oh no, sir. So when he did that, I had called the police. And then I was like, okay, I'm ready. Because you get to a point, like Carrie said earlier, where I said over and over, I'm done, but I kept going back and back and back.
Right.
But this time it was different. So I called the police and they said, do you want to press charges or file a restraining order him? And I said, yes, I do. Okay. I want to file a restraining order. And they filed a dating violence restraining order for 1 year.
Okay.
And we had to go to court.
Okay.
And of course he had to be there. So even at the day of court, he came to the car. I was like, oh, you really want to do this? And I said, yes, I do. And I walked inside the courthouse and I did it. And I told the judge what he did. And he was even, said things in court. And the judge just said, yeah, I'm going with Miss Fisher at this time. That's my maiden name. And she granted that restraining order and I was so happy.
Wow.
And then from there, I was relieved. I would think I went out every weekend. I think I went out and had fun because that control wasn't there anymore. I'm like, oh, this is
a huge weight.
Yes, I was so happy.
Like, this is what it feels like.
Yes, it's like it felt like a mini prison when you're in it.
Wow.
And so when it was over, I'm like, wow, like I'm free. Like my mom was like, you going out again? I'm like, yeah. And I just had so much fun. I was so happy.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I went up to Fort Lauderdale and I met my husband at an old job at a call center, and from there it was history. Yeah. And I never looked back.
Wow.
Yeah.
So for you, it took like it sounded like disrespecting your mother's place.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, you know, and then you got the courts involved.
I had to, because he would not leave me alone. So at that point, I said, I have to get someone involved where he can know. Like, even after the restraining order, he somehow called me and was like, these people at my job serving me notice. I said, I don't care at this point. Like, you should have stopped. You did it. So,
right.
Right. At that, because they served him notice as well. It was a lot. But, yeah. But I knew I had to have someone higher, like authority-wise, so he could know, like, I'm serious. Yeah.
Were you ever in fear of your life?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, many times. Yeah. After court, he tried to run me off the road. After the court filing, he tried to literally run me off the road. Wow, that's wild. Yeah, so definitely a lot of times I was, as I said, fear will just,
it
creep.
Just keeps you. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm glad that, the justice system definitely worked in your favor and that you can use that. And I think the biggest thing is you were ready.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
And recognizing that, you know what, it doesn't matter. I'm ready, and it doesn't matter what anybody else may think. We're this is it. Enough is enough.
Yes, because there's many times I could have left, but like I said, you were in a situation, like you go back and forth. They say, I'm not going to hit you no more. They're not going to stop. They're going to continue to hit you, continue to abuse you. It may sound good. They'll maybe stop for like a month, a week, couple of weeks, but they'll continue.
So that honeymoon phase that the in the cycle of violence is a real thing.
It is. Yeah, they'll stop for a little. Depends on how they're feeling, and something can trigger right back. Yeah, and he was young with some kids.
I know.
But because he's seen this before and he's seen his mother stay a little bit, he's probably thinking, well,
this is how you do it.
Yeah.
And we talk about our parenting, and we talk about how our children look at us. Yeah. On one of my weeks, we talk about healthy relationships. In the parent connection courses, and it's just really, really making sure that we recognize that your children build relationships and how they view relationships off of what you do.
Yeah.
And the relationships that you cultivate. So your co-parenting, your relationship with your parents, your relationships with your partners, you know, your relationship with your siblings, you know, is something that they look at and they take, you
And your
know.
relationship with them.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a big one.
And yourself.
That's huge, right?
Yeah.
You know, something that I say to my boys very often, because let's see, so when I got sole custody of them, this is like 2020, right? We're now, so that's like 6 years ago. And then
That's
my
like
boys,
right in the middle of COVID.
Yeah, yes. And my boys now, they are 16, 14, and 13. So we're talking about them being, like 10, 8, and around 7 when I got sole custody of them.
Okay.
And the relationship between them and their dad was always kind of interesting, because he spent a lot of time bad mouthing the mom, right? That's something they talk about at court. They say not to do it, but he spends a lot of time like, your mother doesn't love you. It was quite ridiculous, right? And so then for me to, you know, get sole custody, and then for him not to speak to them, just ghost them for 6 months straight.
Yeah.
And then the relationship was never completely repaired. It was very much, instead of, you know, adhering to the court order, which says you're to have them every other weekend, it would be, oh, well, I can't get them this weekend. I can come and play basketball with them on Saturday for a little bit, but that's about it. So he went from being a father figure to, you know, if I feel like it.
If I feel like it.
And one thing that my boys and I talk about is, I've seen this with very good friends of mine who also grew up without a father figure. So this is why I know, because I have really truthful conversations with my kids, so this is why I know that it's true, is I'll say, even if he does not teach you the kind of man that you are supposed to be, he is setting an example for the kind of man that you are not supposed to be.
Wow.
And I've seen that work. I've seen friends of mine who've grown up without a father be amazing fathers and amazing
That's like
partners.
my fiance. He had no father figure in his life, just his mom. And now I look at him and I'm like, oh my God, you are like the best dad I've ever seen. And
Men are
amazing.
capable. They are capable of realizing where they were shorted.
Yes.
And they're capable of understanding that the love they have for their children will keep them from shorting that child. And that is my hope and prayer for my boys. And it is, you know, I have a completely different set of hopes and prayers for my daughter, but they align for sure. And yeah. And so I've definitely, I think it's really important that we focus on the good that comes out of everything.
Exactly. Like how you both have went through so much trauma. But then turned it into so much success for yourself and for your family and your kids.
Absolutely, because some women, situations are worse. I've heard some women die.
Right.
Yes.
And some women get so like physically abused that they're, you know, look different.
Completely different.
And I was just like, oh my God, thank you God, like, because it could have been.
Given
And
worse.
some women kill the person. Like that rage builds up.
Yes.
Like it was once upon a time. I'm like, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna push you down these stairs soon. You keep messing
100%.
with me. One more time. And I say it's mental. Like they know how to control you. You know, like after when you let your guard down, it's a done deal. At first, when he tried to put his hands on me, I was like, oh no, hold on. And I was like, we don't do that. And I was like, I even fought him back one time. But then when you slowly let your guard down, they keep going and keep going. And it's like,
It's almost like over time he was breaking you down because
There you go.
you said no at the beginning. You were like, no, this is not how this works.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. But manipulation and control, you know, over and over. Like Carrie said, they'll manipulate you to the point where you start thinking that what they're saying is true.
Yeah, it's the gaslighting, the manipulation, the isolation makes that easier. Right?
Wow.
And to your point, Jazz, you know, where you say some women, right? Some women die, some women they're you know, changed forever. And again, like you said, it's a mental thing as well. And this is why I say, so something that kind of isn't like a peeve of mine is when people say, if I could do it, you could do it. Like imagine me surviving 8 years of domestic violence,
Right.
raising 4 children on my own, getting the degrees that I've gotten,
Right.
continuing all the way hopefully to a PhD,
Right.
and then
Yeah.
looking at another woman and being like, well, if I could do it,
You can do it.
you could do it.
Wow.
It's almost like you're just
Again.
not only are you not accounting for the individual experience that woman has had, you're generalizing it now.
Yeah.
You are also not attributing your success to the people who have had your back along the way,
Wow.
right?
Right.
Because it's not if I could do it. And I'll be honest, like someone who had gone through everything that I've gone through, like my parents look at me and they're like, we don't know how you did it. We don't know how you did it. People would always say, how did you make it through all of this? And I'm like, well, prayer is a big part of it.
Absolutely.
Right? But it took strength.
Yes.
Yes.
It took
does.
willpower.
Yes.
It took fear. Right? It took me being afraid of what would happen to my children if I didn't change things.
Wow.
One of us had to change things. Right? Someone had to be successful because cycles happen when you don't face fear. Right? And so I think a big part of, the work that I do now, and even supporting some of the moms that come in who are facing, and like Luvi, we all love Luvi. Hi, Luvi. I'm sure she's gonna watch this. That is our community health outreach advocate at the Community
she's
Resource
awesome.
Center.
She's awesome.
She supports women sometimes who come in and they have been in situations like mine, and Luvi will always come to me and we'll have discussions about it, and I'll always remind her, that I likely wouldn't have made it as far as I did academically, professionally, mentally, had I not had strong and supportive women working in social services along the way.
Wow.
Those women that did that call and called me to see if I was okay. Those women that helped me fill out applications, helped me to acquire funding, helped me get somewhere to live. Those women, without them, I wouldn't have made it to where I am. So when we are not there to provide these supports, we also can't judge the outcome for women that didn't have them, right? I think that's a big part of it, is like, I had the U.S. consulate tell me in Canada that I was their success story, because you'd be surprised to know how many women are from the United States and in other countries and are facing domestic violence and are not able to make it out of it.
Wow.
Right? And so to hear that I was a success story, I looked at her. Her name is Joanna, and I remember saying to her, yeah, but I couldn't have done it without your support.
Right.
I couldn't have done it without the people at the crisis center, without the women at the shelter, who gave me the tokens to get to my immigration lawyer way downtown, and for my immigration lawyer to pay for a taxi back home because I had 4 kids with me and it was like 8 p.m. and I needed to get back to a different city, and it would take me 2 trains and 2 buses to get there. These are women that said, no, I am going to take whatever I can off of your shoulders and put it on my own. I remember my children being sponsored for Christmas by the shelter that we had moved out of.
Wow.
So those are things that I think are really important to a woman's journey. And without those supports being available, we cannot judge their inability to move on or their inability to stand on their own 2 feet.
Right.
Because like Jazz said, some women died. Some of us are afraid of that outcome, right? But some of us never find the strength to get, a career out of what they did. Like, I'm glad and grateful and blessed that I was able to take my lived experience and turn it into my career.
Yes.
Wow.
But it isn't everybody that's able to do that, and I understand that. And I still believe in those women, and I wish I could meet with every one of them to show them that I believe in you. And then we could maybe put some truth to the whole, if I did it, you can do it. But if I did it,
everybody's journey is different.
Yes.
Everybody's story is different. Everybody's experience of abuse is different.
Yeah.
And I feel like you guys really made, like, you hit home a lot, that sometimes you don't have anybody to talk to.
No.
Sometimes that isolation is so real that people around you don't even really notice.
That's right. Yeah. Yep.
That's what I'm hearing. And then your community.
Yeah.
Right.
The community resources, which is what you guys do, which is like so powerful to me, that you use the justice system, you know, and you use the community, the resources, the social work. This is why we're out here to provide support, and, you know, Parent Connection is out here really trying to grow and connect with the community and to grow community, you know, bring that village back to that community aspect, which is important, you know?
The village.
Yes.
Because it's not if I can do it, you can do it.
Yes.
It's if I did it, I will help you do it.
Oh, I love it.
Yes. That's what it is.
Yes,
right?
absolutely. And that's in everything.
Yeah.
That's in everything, you know? And so I'm just so grateful. I'm just so thankful, you guys. This has been such a wonderful conversation. And I want to say thank you guys for taking the courage and the time to share your stories, because I know that this point in time may not have been the easiest for you right now, and to come and have this conversation with Ashley and I. But we do appreciate your time and energy.
It takes a lot of strength.
It does.
Yeah.
I just
come out
started
here,
comfortable.
talk about it, and then, you know, talk to other people about it.
Yeah.
I think I could speak for Jazz when I say, because we're very close, so sometimes I tend to do that, that it is an act of strength, but this is an act of love. I love our community.
Yeah.
I believe in our community. Like, I understand the adversities that we face, and I know that we didn't put those adversities there.
Right.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Right?
Yeah, but those things that we have to navigate are the deck is stacked against a lot of us. And I think that out of love for everybody that walks through those doors, you know, I have to say what I said before, which is, I'll help you.
Yes.
We will help you.
Which is what the Heart Community Center is about, right? Which is why you guys chose, and you're there.
That's right.
Really rooted in the community. So the doors are open. Like every month you guys have like a plethora of activities that come through there.
Yes, we do.
Being able to meet. So please let them know where are you guys? Where's the Heart Community Center? And then just a little tidbit about what happens there.
Of course. So at the Heart Community Resource Center, please, you can follow us on Instagram. It's Our Heart CRC.
Yes.
That's our Instagram handle.
Yes.
Our website is www.ourheart.org. We're located in Lauderdale Lakes, but we have a number of resources across the state that can be found on our website. We post a lot of different free resources in different cities everywhere. We offer a number of programs and activities. You know, parent-child connection happens there. We have family night that our youth and family program coordinator runs, and a lot of other things, mentorship for youth. You know, we're launching a single mom support group, and it's called Holding Space. I kind of plugged that in at some point earlier.
I love it.
That's what it's called. And so it's really important, you know, that folks know that they can call us, inquire if it's something that you don't know if we can help you with. We're open to you just calling us and finding out.
Yeah, and they can just walk right in.
You can walk right in. We're open to everyone in the community.
Open from what time?
We're open on Mondays from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Yes.
And every other day of the week from 8:30 to 5 p.m.
8:30 to 5. You can walk right there, right in Lauderdale Lakes. Lauderdale Lakes.
Our calendar is on our Instagram, so you can get to know about the programs and the different services we offer. And we try to address every social determinant of health. So that's social and community contacts. We have financial literacy that happens 5 times a month, right? So those socioeconomic challenges, we got you. So there's a lot that, you know, our community health worker, she's wonderful. She does a lot of work with the community on a one-on-one, individual basis, but then in group settings, we have all of our classes. Everything is always free. And Jasmine is amazing with the kids and the families.
I know, she has my attention. I'm trying to focus. They
my attention. The youth love Jazz. This is why she's our youth and family program coordinator.
My kids love the Heart Center.
They do.
They go on family night. They're like, oh, we're going to the Heart Center? We're going to the Heart Center, you know, so that is, we appreciate the work that you guys do. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
If there's one thing that you would like to leave with the ladies or our viewers, I should say, what would be that one thing?
For me, there's always a way. There's always a way. Even when it seems impossible, it's always a way out.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Carrie?
I think for me, it's look for safe spaces, and when I say safe spaces, I mean confidants. Look for people who you know can help you along the way. Community resources shouldn't be stigmatized. You are not taking a handout. You are receiving blessings that are in place for you. So look at things as beautiful, opportunities and plants along your path in life, as opposed to thinking that you are taking something that isn't yours. Every piece of help that is offered to you belongs to you, and you deserve it.
That's right.
I love that.
I do.
Thank you.
I do. Well, that's beautiful. Well, thank you again for tuning in on another episode of Postpartum Connections, and we will see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.